Hi, I'm Teri Lott. I'm a storyteller, a puppeteer, and the author of 4 books for children, a book for fairy tale lovers of any age, and a book of scary tales. More about those later. I'm going to share with you a story that I created, but I was inspired by a story called Too Much Noise. This story is called The Crowded Farmhouse. George was a farmer. He lived with his wife, Mary, and their 13 children. Now, George had to get up very early in the morning because he and Mary had a lot of animals. And at breakfast, George would say, "This house is too small." "It's not that small." "This house is too noisy." "It's not that noisy." And George would go out and he would feed the cows. And the cows would all say moo as he milked them. In this story, if you would like to make the animal sounds with me, that would be wonderful. Let's do the cows together. Moo. Well, soon it would be time for lunch, and George and Mary would be sitting at the table, and he would say, "This house is too crowded." "It's not that crowded." "This house is too noisy." "It's not that noisy." And George would eat his lunch, and then he'd go out and he'd feed the pigs. Oink, 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 oink. And he'd feed the chickens. Bok, 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 bok. And before he knew it, it would be time to go back into his crowded farmhouse. You see, with 13 children, they were everywhere. They were on the chairs, they were on the couch, they were on the floor, they were just everywhere. And so over their evening meal, which they called dinner, George would say, "This house is too crowded." "It's not that crowded." "This house is too noisy." "It's not that noisy." Well, after dinner, George would go out to the barn and they had one horse and he would brush the horse's coat. Neigh, neigh. And they had one donkey and he would brush the donkey's coat. Hee haw, hee haw, hee haw. The next morning, right after breakfast, "I'm gonna do something about this crowded, noisy house." "It's not that crowded. It's not that noisy." Well, George knew exactly what to do. You see, there was a wise woman where he lived, and he only had to take her a little something, and she would give advice. And so he got some fresh milk from his cows, and he walked to the village, and he knocked on the door, knock, 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 and the wise woman answered. "Oh, good morning, George. How are you today?" "Not so great. My house is too crowded. My house is too noisy." "Oh, George, I'm so sorry to hear that." "Hmm. Oh, thank you for the fresh milk. Oh, always so good." "You could sell your house and get a bigger house." "Nope, can't do it. Can't afford it." "Hmm. Have you thought about giving away some of your children?" "Give away some of my children? No, I love all of my children. I mean, there's a lot of them and they're noisy, but I'm not going to give any of them away." "Okay, George, okay, I understand. Well, there's only one thing you can do." "What's that?" "Bring all your cows into the house." "What?" "Bring all your cows into the house." "That will work. Trust me." And so George went home and he got all of his cows and he brought them in to the house. Moo, moo, moo. The cows went into the living room. There were so many of them, there was no place to sit. There was no place to stand. The kids didn't care. They just hopped onto the back of the cows and kind of sat on them like you would a horse and said things like, "Giddy up, giddy up." And the cows, moo, moo. And George couldn't stand it. It was too noisy. It was too crowded. And so the next day, you know where he went. He went to the wise woman. He knocked on her door. Knock, knock, knock. She opened the door. Well, hi, George. Uh, my house is still too crowded and it's still too noisy. Here, I brought you some eggs. Oh, thank you. Ooh, yum, eggs. And fresh ones, too. Well, there's only one thing you can do. Yes, I'm listening. You need to bring all your chickens into the house. What? Did I hear you right? Bring all your chickens into the house. All my chickens? Will that work? Trust me. And so George went home and he got all of his chickens and he brought them into the house. Bawk, 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 bawk. The chickens made their home in the kitchen. Bawk, 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 bawk. And since they were laying chickens, soon there were eggs every place. There were eggs on the table. There were eggs on the chairs. There were eggs in the sink. There were even eggs on the floor. Crunch. Ugh. The kids loved it. They started chasing the chickens around, and now we had feathers flying all over the place. Bawk, 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 bawk. George did not like it so much. The next morning, he went back to the wise woman, knocked on her door. Knock, knock, knock. Oh, hi, George. How's it going? Not too great. My house is still too crowded. My house is still too noisy. Here, I brought you some homemade jelly. Ooh, yeah. Oh, and it's strawberry jelly, one of my favorites. Thank you, George. Well, there's only one thing that you can do. Yes, I'm listening. Bring all your pigs into the house. What? Bring all my pigs into the house? It'll work. Trust me. So George went home and he got all of his pigs. Oink, 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 oink. Oink, 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 oink. And he brought them into the house. And the pigs went straight upstairs and they went into the bedrooms. Now, the thing is, you may or may not know this about pigs, but they love to roll in the mud. That's how they cool themselves off. And these pigs had just been in the mud. And so now there was muddy pig prints all over the floor. There was mud from the pigs on the curtains and mud on the bedspreads, and there was just mud everywhere. The kids were having a blast. They were chasing the pigs around, oink, 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 oink. But George was not happy, as you can imagine. The next morning, he went back to the wise old woman. He didn't even bother knocking on the door. He just went on in. Uh, it's not working. My house is still too noisy and it's still too crowded. Oh, here, my wife sent you some blueberry muffins. Oh, my favorite. Thank you, George. There's only one thing you can do. Yes, what is it? Bring your horse and your donkey into the house. Really? My horse and my donkey? Trust me, it will work. And so he went home and he got his horse. Drip, drop, drip, drop, drip, drop, and his donkey. And he brought them into the house. The horse and the donkey went straight upstairs to the bathroom and got into the bathtub. Why? I have no idea, but they did. Hee haw, hee haw, nay, nay. Well, the kids loved it because there was only one bathroom in the house, and if the donkey and the horse were in the bathtub, they wouldn't have to take a bath or a shower. Hmm. Hee haw, hee haw, nay, nay. Well, that next morning at breakfast, George sat with Mary and he said, I'm not sure what to do. The house is so crowded and it's so noisy. And Mary had to agree. It is a bit too crowded. It is a bit too noisy. Well, I'm gonna see one more time what that wise woman says. Do you want me to give you something to take to her? Not this time. I'm angry. And so he kind of stomped off and he got to her house and he banged on the door and she opened it up and she goes, "What, George, what's wrong?" "Oh, my house is unlivable. There are cows in the living room. There are chickens in the kitchen. There's a horse and donkey in the bathtub. There are pigs in the bedroom. It's too noisy and it's too crowded." "Well, George, this is what you do." "Yes." "Take all of your animals out and put them back where they belong." "All right." And George left. He got the horse, neigh, neigh, and donkey, hee haw, out of the bathtub. Neigh, neigh, hee haw. He led them downstairs, outside, and put them back in the stable. Then he went into the bedrooms. He gathered up all the pigs. Oink, 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 oink. Excuse me. He took them down the stairs, out the door, and back to the pig pen. The pigs were happier there anyway because there was lots of mud. Oink, 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 oink. And then he went into the kitchen. Carefully stepping not to step on eggs, he gathered up all the chickens, bok, 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 and took them back out to the chicken coop. Bok, 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 bok. And last but not least, he went into the living room and herded the cows. Moo, 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 back to the barn. Now all that was left in the house was Farmer George, his wife Mary. She's coming. And Mary, and their 13 children. And George said, "You know, it's not that crowded." "No, it's not. It's not that noisy." "Nope, not at all. Our house is just the right size for us." And that's the story called The Crowded Farmhouse. I hope you enjoyed that. Well, I told you I would let you know a little bit about my books. If you like scary tales, lots of scary tales, read them if you dare. 13 stories for the faint of heart, so they're perfectly fine for elementary children, and 13 stories for the strong of heart. Parental advisory on that one. Not Stephen King-ish, though, more like Goosebumps. For the fairy tale lovers, I've twisted 20 fairy tales, and then you get to choose a pleasant or a just desserts ending, dun dun dun, for one of the characters. Beyond happily ever after, choose your own fairy tale ending. For those of you who enjoy reading stories about animals and a few facts, I've got lots of animal tales, and it's animals that are outdoors, it's animals that live in your home, it's pets, it's wild animals. They're in here. Soon to have a sequel, Lots of Animals Tales 2 in 2026. Jackie Tales, the untold stories of Jack's sister. Jack of Jack and the Beanstalk fame has a twin sister. She also makes some bad decisions, but always lands on her feet. And she's very lovable and kind-hearted. Lots of tales, stories that grow with your children does exactly that. Starts out with stories, songs, and finger plays for your toddlers and preschoolers, and then moves to stories that the children can read to themselves or read with their families once they're reading. That was followed with a sequel, Lots of Tales 2, seasonal stories that grow with your children. separated into seasons, but again, stories for preschoolers and stories for children once they're reading. So both of those books actually grow as your children grow. Great gift for young families for um, showers, baby showers. So I hope you enjoyed the story today, The Crowded Farmhouse. Again, I'm Teri Lott, and tune in and watch my other stories on the YouTube channel. If you want more information about me or my books, or you'd like me to come and do storytelling in person, contact me at lotts.of.tales at gmail.com. Bye. Have a great day.